A major issue plaguing the world is our tendency to discuss problems superficially rather than addressing them directly. Instead of tackling challenges head on, we often focus on empty rhetoric, talking about problems without engaging with those involved. We prefer to talk about problem without talking to problem. These are two different things. You can either talk to problem or talk about problem. Right now I'm just talking about problem. I just set up my camera and I just start talking. But ideally, we need to talk to problem. I strongly believe this lack of substance significantly contribute to major problems in life. God created us to confront problems, and the Bible provides guidance on resolving conflict. For example, when we read Matthew chapter 18, verse 15, the Bible outlines a constructive approach. It says, and I quote, "If your brother sin against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother." This passage emphasizes the importance of private, direct communication. In stark contrast, the devil has created a method, I call it the silence treatment, which is a manipulative tactic used to control situation and also to avoid accountability. Sometimes we often take this route because we want to avoid conflict or offend others. However, this approach can have a devastating effects in the long run. Avoiding to address problems doesn't make it disappear. It rather accumulates the problems. To my estimation, this is the number one reason why we aren't conflict-centered when it comes to conflict resolution. We drag unresolved old problem into new one, creating a very convoluted and complicated problem. The person whose name comes to mind whenever I discuss this issue is Donald Trump. Trump is everything I would tell my kids not to do. But I firmly believe he has a legitimate concern. Despite the potential disagreement we may have with him, I believe he deserves our respect for addressing issues directly. For decades, U.S. politicians have been discussing trade deficits with the rest of the world without implementing any meaningful solution, any meaningful prescription. The U.S. has a significant deficit with China, resulting in a substantial amount of debt. To put it into proper perspective, it is estimated that every single American effectively owes around $15,000 to China. We have become the biggest consumer in the world without equal production. Honestly speaking, I don't remember the last time I purchased a product made in USA. This is truly a national security threat, but politicians have refused to address this because of the risk of offending other countries. Let me digress, because I don't want to sound too political. God's plan for us is to solve problems, not just manage or massage them. Our lack of preparedness to confront issues privately oftentimes lead to gossip and insinuation, or even people attempting to litigate grievances publicly. The best person to solve your problem is you. Inviting others to solve your problem should be the last resort, because nobody can fully understand what you are going through. Whenever you have an issue with loved ones, whether it's your mom, your dad, your friend, your spouse, or whoever. Sit down with them, work through differences. This is God's method of problem solving. Whereas the alternative, like silence treatment, which I mentioned earlier on, comes directly from the devil. God wants us to solve problems. And one of the biggest problems God wants us to solve is a sin problem. God wants us to eliminate sin in our life. God bless you, and thanks for watching. Bye.